Vaheguru 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 Vaheguru
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ। ਗੋਂਡ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਚੌਥਾ। ਹਰ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕੋ ਮੇਰਾ ਮਨ ਬਹੁਤ ਤਪਤੈ, ਜੋ ਤ੍ਰਿਖਾਵੰਤ ਬਿਨ ਨੀਰ। ਮੇਰੇ ਮਨ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਲਗੋ ਹਰ ਤੀਰ, ਹਮਰੀ ਬੇਦਨ ਹਰ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਜਾਨਹੁ। मेरे मन अंतर की पीर रहो। मेरे हर प्रीतम की कोई बात सुनावै, सो भाई सो मेरा बीर। मिल मिल सखी गुण कहो मेरे प्रभ के, ले सतगुर की मत तीर। जन नानक की हर आस पुजावो, हर दर्शन शांत शरीर। हर दर्शन शांत शरीर। धन धन सोढ़ी सुल्तान गुरु रामदास जी महाराज ते धन धन श्री ग्रंथ साहिब जी महाराज जी हाजिर बैठी साध संगत जी रल मिल के फतेह बुलाएं जी। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। We be very blessed this week. Guru Ramdas ji Maharaj's birthday, Prakash Utsav. The whole bunch of the Gurus from Guru Ramdas ji Maharaj, from then onwards, all comes back to Guru Ramdas ji. Guru Ramdas ji's son, Guru Arjan Dev ji. Their son, Guru Har Gobind Sahib ji. Their grandson, Guru Har Rai Sahib ji. Their great grandson, Guru Tegh Bahadur ji. Guru Har Krishan Sahib ji. Then back up to their other grandson, their other great grandson, Guru Tegh Bahadur ji. And then Guru Gobind Singh ji. The whole family flows from Guru Ramdas ji, so we call them Sodhi Sultan. This veil, the Guru's lineage, it comes back to the Sodhi family of Guru Ramdas ji Maharaj. So they say in their Shabad ki har darshan ko mera man baho tapta hai, jo trikhavant bin neer. They say just like a thirsty person cannot sit still, they're in so much pain because they need water. Jo trikhavant bin neer. Neer is water. Here a thirsty but trikhavant person is thirsting for water. Maharaj says har darshan ko mera man baho tapta hai, jo trikhavant bin neer. Mere man prem lago har teer. That the arrow of love, of God's love, has pierced my heart. Maharaj Guru Ramdas ji Akal Purukh di Jot sige, but their poetry is especially beautiful. All of Bani is beautiful, but even people that are not Sikhs, even people that have studied poetry, even people who have studied Gurbani, even they say that Guru Ramdas ji Maharaj's poetry is so amazing. They write in so many rags, but Saad Sangat ji ek gal sochan wali hegi hai कि Guru Ramdas ji Maharaj अनाथ sige. They were an orphan. They didn't go to school. किथे कुछ नहीं पढ़या. How did Guru Ramdas ji Maharaj write in so many rags? Where did they learn rag from? आम तौर पे, if you tell someone to go and learn rag, it takes them 2 years to master one rag. Guru Ramdas ji Maharaj is writing in so many rags, in so much beautiful poetry, and yet their whole life, all they ever did was fry peanuts and sell them. मूंगफली बेचे सिगे पका पका के. That's Akal Purukh's kirpa. And today when we talk about them, this Piaas, this is what we're going to talk about a lot today, because the Shabad from their Guru, Guru Ramdas ji's Guru, Guru Amardas ji Maharaj, they write in their Bani, in this Anand Sahib Pauri that we're going to go through today, 32nd Pauri, Batti Pauri. You know, like Batti is quite a special name for us anyway. 32 is quite an important word that comes out in Punjabi quite a lot. So this Shabad does talk about a life a lot, especially given the fact that it talks about the tongue. When we look at the tongue, when Guru Nanak Ji Maharaj met Kaljug came to Guru Maharaj to say that with these two things I'm going to control the world. And he was holding his ling, as in his sexual organs, and he was holding his tongue. He said, with these two things I will control the world. calm, and ras, taste. So this body is very important. We'll go through it now, read it now, and then we'll go through it line by line. Maharaj says, A Rasna. Rasna here, just so you can understand when I read it out, Rasna means tongue. When we talk about ras, taste, then the tongue is called Rasna, the thing that feels the taste. Maharaj says, E Rasna, tu AnRas Raach Rehee, Tere Piaas Na Jaae. Piaas na jaye hort kittai, jichar har ras palle na paaye. Har ras paaye palle, piye har ras, bahur na trisna lage aaye. Eho har ras karmi paiye, sate gur mile jis aaye. Keh nanak ਹੋਰ ਅਨਰਸ ਸਭ ਵਿਸਰੈ ਜਾ ਹਰ ਵਸੈ ਮਨ ਆਏ. ਮਾਸਸ ਏ ਰਸਨਾ ਤੂੰ ਅਨਰਸ ਰਾਚ ਰਹੀ ਤੇਰੀ ਪਿਆਸ ਨਾ ਜਾਏ. Master says, oh my tongue, you are absorbed in AnRas. Ras means here flavor, tastes, things that the tongue is absorbed in. They say you are absorbed in AnRas. AnRas is other flavors. Later on they say Harras, the experience of God. Other flavors apart from Vaheguru, you are absorbed. Raach matlab rachya hoya. It's absorbed in those things. Teri Piaas Na Jaae. Thirst. The thirst for the other flavors will not go, Maharaj says. You are absorbed. Now, when we're talking about the tongue, Maharaj is not just talking about the physical. They are talking about the physicals, or the physical hunger, the physical thirst. But also, there's desire in the tongue. It's not just always hungry, it eats outside of its hunger. It eats hungry even though there's no physical need for it. Everybody wants to be satisfied. This thing, we all want to have tripat. Tripat ya rajya hoya, santokh keh lo. Maharaj says in Bani, bina santokh nahi ko rajya. Santokh means contentment. So when you have contentment inside you, there's no hunger, there's no thirst, then tusi rajye gaye hai gyo, raj gaye. You know when somebody goes, oh I'm stuffed, that's rajya hoya. Now, in the word raja actually comes from the word rajya hoya. The only person who they used to feel in those days was actually full, was the king, because he could have whatever he wanted. So rajya hoya siga. Right? So in a way, you can see that somebody who is a king, nothing to strive towards now, they've already achieved everything, all their puk inside is gone, all their hunger is gone, because whatever they want they can have. So Maharaj is telling us that actually, even a king, if they haven't got santokh, is not a raja. Bina santokh nahi ko raja. Even kings and queens are not really kings and queens, because they nahi gaye hale. They are not yet satisfied. So santokh wala insan might not be a king. Somebody who's got santokh might not be a king, but actually oh raja hai. Yeah. Maharaj says man jeete jag jeet. One translation of that is, if you win the world, you become the king of the world, right? You become the king of the world when you're content, because no one apart from you is content. So you become the king. Everybody else is wandering around lost, but you're content. So Maharaj is telling us that there's something, santokh, which the tongue does not necessarily get from the world, but it's always the Tere Piaas Na Jaae. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj tells us about santokh. They say, Vin tud hor je mangana, sir dukha ke dukh, dehe naam santokhiya, utre man ki pukh. Gur vantin harya kitiya, nanak kya manukh. They say, Dehe naam santokhiya, utre man ki pukh. Saying, give me the naam that will give me contentment. But then they say something very interesting. They say, utre man ki pukh. The pukh of the mind. Pukh means hunger. The hunger of the mind. Now, how can the mind be hungry? When they're talking about the tongue, they're talking about it having its pias will never go. A normal person, if they're thirsty and you give them water, at some point they will say, enough, I'm not thirsty anymore. Yeah? Even when the kids are trying to feed them more food, they go, I'm full. You're not a khor khala. No, they're not hungry anymore. So, what is this thirst that is not, it's not related to water obviously. It's related to something else. Tere Piaas Na Jaae. So, how can the mind be thirsty? How can the mind be hungry? Well, most people will say, well, the mind hasn't got a stomach. How can the mind be hungry? The mind hasn't got a tongue. How can it be hungry? But it has. Because Sangatji, the spiritual element is important here. There is a body which has a tongue, which is a physical body. Enu keh lo asthul sarir. This is our asthul body, the physical body. Then there is atmak sarir. Enu kehne suksham sarir. Suksham means subtle. Subtle because you can't see it. It's so subtle. It's so subtle because it is a soul. It's our atma, but it can't be seen, it can't be felt. It can be felt and it can be seen, but you can't quite describe it. That's why it's so subtle, you can't describe it to somebody else. People will feel their soul in their hands, they'll feel their soul on their hair, over here. But tell them to explain it, and they can't. Although you tell them what does hair taste like, what does hair feel like, they'll describe it to you. Ask them what does this feel like, they'll describe it with their fingers. This is something that we can all share in. But the Atmak Avastha is very barik. It's called the Suksham Sarir. And this Suksham Sarir also has a stomach. It also has book. The Man is related to the Suksham Sarir. The mind is the confluence of the soul and the body. These create the mind together. So when the tongue is talked about here, they're talking about the tongue that is both physical and the mental. Because it works both ways. Because the mind is related to both things. Even the Suksham Sarir, some people sometimes it's hard to explain to people. The Suksham Sarir is not linked to the physical body all the time. It can even separate. Many Mahapurukhs have been able to leave their body and physically manifest somewhere else with their Suksham Sarir. Baba Hanam Singh, in the book about Baba Hanam Singh, my son Seva Singh, they talk about how they came to England and they met somebody here. But when the guy said, where is Babaji? He's staying in England. They said, no, he's still in Punjab. He never left Punjab. But the guy was going to fall off the path. Babaji knew that. So they came over here spiritually and met him. And this is not just Sikh saints. Other saints have done this as well. Saint Francis of Assisi, who is a Catholic saint from Italy, he was well known for being in two places at the same time. His body would be here, but he'd be somewhere else as well. This is called astral projection, because the soul can be projected out. It's not bound by the laws of nature. The physics laws say you can't actually step outside your body, but the Atmic law says you can. The spiritual law. So we have a body and we have a mind, and these things do have hunger and thirst for things that they need, but also for things that they don't need. Things that are important to us is hungry for that, or things that are not important for us is also hungry for that. And as much as I do, when it comes to the tongue, we can all share that the flavour. Sometimes we overeat. Not sometimes, quite a lot of the times we overeat. In the West, we've got that problem anyway. If we like something, we'll overeat. Also, we'll eat things that we know aren't good for us. Yeah. It's a funny story. When you stay away from junk food for a while, that when you go back to junk food, you feel like, chalo, let's have it. Pura karke shako. Have chips, have the pizza, have the Coke on top. Yeah. Because when it goes for it full time. So we know they're all bad for us, but we go for it. Radhike shako. Even though it's bad for us. So we know that we have hungers and thirsts that are not good for us. Now, what we eat does affect what we drink, what we think, how we sit. Everything is affected by what we eat. Now, some people say it's not true. They say, kuch bhi kha lo, that shouldn't affect you. But then they come and talk to you and they say, when I do bani, my mind doesn't sit still. When I do my part, my mind just jumps around. But what is the tongue eating then? It's not always eating, like I said, physical food. It's also eating stuff like kam, krodh, lobh, moh, ahankar. Right? The tongue is absorbed in these tastes of other things. It needs that flavour. It needs to maybe hear its own praise. The ears sometimes get absorbed in that ras, but the tongue is absorbed in different rases that aren't good for us. Now, there are people in this Paath that started to say that the physical body is totally separate from the spiritual body. They say, well, Maharaj says in Bani, Khana Pina Pavitra hai, Ditto Nijak Sambahi. They say everything is Pavitra. It's all just molecules. You can eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, because Waheguru is Nirankar, they're outside the world. And then they say, this is not what Bani says, they say, because Waheguru is Nirankar, then we can do what we like, and then we should still be able to sit down and spiritually meditate. And in fact, Bani will back this up in a way as well. For some level, it is. For example, Tuka just said, Maharaj says, Nasa Diva ki khana pina pavitra hai, de ton jak sambahe. But Guru gives us restrictions of what we can eat, what we can drink. But these people, they try to get away from the restrictions. They don't like the restrictions. So what they do is, they play with Bani. And in India, there's a group called Nakli Nirankaris. They call themselves Nirankaris, but in the Sikh Panth we call them Nakli Nirankaris. Because they started to say that you can do whatever you like. Yeah? And they've gone to the very extreme of having no morals whatsoever. How can we give a jawab to these people? Now it is true that some of the Mahapurukhs, some of the people that are very spiritually high, they don't get affected by the body as much. Yeah? Kabir ji says in their Bani, Kabir Sant na chhade santai je kotak mile asant. They say the saint does not leave saintliness, their sainthood, even if they meet hundreds and thousands of people that are not saints. Sangat kehlo. So a sangat, for the saint is almost above sangat. They create sangat where they go, but the sangat does not pull them down. Bani also says that if you get the naam drid inside you, when it becomes jedi koi cheez tik jandi na, like naam comes in and goes out, comes in, comes out. One day, if it settles and it stays there and it doesn't move, onu kehne drid ho gaya. Maharaj says in Bani, Amrit naam nirmolak hira gurdino mantani dige na dole drid kar rahe ho Puran hoye triptani. They say Amrit naam nirmolak hira. This amazing naam, this priceless jewel which we just talked about, ki har aap amulak hai. Maharaj says, Gurdino mantani. Guru is giving this to me, and then they say, Dige na dole drid kar rahe ho. Dige means to fall down. Dole means to fall off the path. Na digna na dolna. We stay drid kar rahe ho. Puran hoy tripatani. We're fully satisfied. But most of us are not at that level. I'm talking about myself here. There must be some people in this Sangat that are actually at that level. But myself, I'm not at that level. So we have to talk from our level. The problem is, some people they read Bani and they go, well, there's no need to worry about Sangat, because the real saint would not worry about Sangat. They say no need to worry about what to eat, because the real saint would not worry about what to eat. But they're not a saint. Samajh rahe ho? And this is what Japji Sahib describes. When Maharaj starts talking about the way to the beloved, the path to the beloved, on the 32nd Pauri as well, Maharaj starts describing it. They go, Ik du jibo lakh ho hai, lakh ho veh lakh vees. Dekho jiba di gal aagi. 32nd Pauri of Anand Sahib is talking about the tongue. 32nd Pauri of Japji Sahib is talking about the tongue. Ik du jibo lakh ho hai, lakh ho veh lakh vees, lakh lakh geda aakhiya hai, ek naam jagdish, et rahe pat pavdiyan, chadiye hoye 21. This is the way to Waheguru. With your tongue, again and again repeating Waheguru's name. This is the way, this eighth rahe. This is the rasta, pat pavdiyan, the pauri of the beloved, pati. Pat pavdi chadiye hoye 21. As we rise up, it will become Mohammed Waheguru. Then they say something interesting. They go, Sungalla akas ki kita airis, Nanak nadri paya, kudi kuda this. They say Sungalla akas ki. When we hear these talks about the spiritual experiences of Naam, we talk about the idea of what a sant is like. Sungalla akas ki. When we hear these galla, what happens? Sungalla akas ki kita ai ris. The little kiri that's not at that level, it tries to copy those. Ris karda hai. Ris means to copy. Now, but the problem is, Nanak nadri paya. You can only get this way from kirpa. You can't pretend your way there. You can't just pretend that I'm like a sant, I'm going to behave like a sant, even though we're not a sant. Maharaj says, Nanak nadri paiye, kudi kuda tees. Tees means bragging. Bragging of a person who is a kuda, a false person, brags. But his bragging is also false. So where we are, what level we are, we've got to speak about that level. We can't start pretending that, Brahm Gyani ka bhojan gyan, and we give up food. Mar javange apa. Yeah? Maharaj says, Brahm Gyani ka drish saman. The Brahm Gyani sees everybody the same, but we know we don't see everybody the same. We know we got to stay away from bad sangat and hang on to good sangat. Brahm Gyani can cope with people that are not of that sangat, but we can't. So we have to know our level. And most of us know our level, but there's some people that try telling us things that are not at our level, and we start thinking, let's copy them. We have to look at and face ourselves. What is our level? What is my level? Maharaj says in Bani about people like myself, they go, Khana, Pina, Hasna, Sona, Visar Gaya hai Marna. Goes Khana, Pina, eat, drinking, laughing, sleeping, Visar Gaya hai Marna. How often a day do I think about my death? Not a lot. I'm planning for what's going to happen tomorrow, day after. I'm not thinking I could die tomorrow. Maharaj says, Kasam Visar Khwari Kini Trig Jivan Nahi Rehna. They say, if you forget your Vaheguru, your whole life is ruined. And then they say, Jivan Nahi Rehna. This life is not going to stay anyway. This Jivan that we're trying to make is ruined, but it's not going to stay anyway. We're making a house, we're going to move out. Even if you look at physically the mortgage that we're paying, 20-25 year mortgage, we're paying that mortgage, but we're going to move out of that house. We spend our whole life paying a mortgage for a house that is going to be fought over when we leave by our kids, unless we do a very good will. Yeah, it's happened to people in my family. Somebody died and the house was left, and they started fighting over the money. So what was the point? If you're going to leave your kids something to argue about, no parent wants to do that. Parents take those things away. If my kids are arguing about something, there's only one of them, one of those things, I'll take it away from them. I said, "Tusi dono nahi de sakde." I'll put it on top somewhere. Then they'll punish them for arguing over something that they. But the problem is the parents now gone, innit? Chale gaye. They're not there to supervise the kids. Now the kids are fighting over something. Same thing we're doing here. Making a house that's no good to us. We're going to leave. So what should we focus upon? We need to teach our Guru will teach us. There's loads of people in this world that are absorbed in AnRas, things that are not meant to be eaten. Our Guru is telling us what should we focus upon, what we shouldn't focus upon. But if you talk to people about Sikhi, they say Sikhi is amazing. Loads of people say Sikhi is amazing. But if you ask them why they don't follow it, they say, I got a problem. I like eating this too much. I like drinking this too much. I don't like having my full dadi. I have desire for my looks. I have desire for my stomach. So they're giving all the excuses, right? All these excuses they're giving, Maharaj is talking about. What is the point of those excuses? Because these are basically, the tongue has got the desire for Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Hankar. It loves to live in those things. It doesn't want to leave those things. So Maharaj says about this, they say, Ras soena, Ras rupa, Kaman Ras Palmal ki vas, Ras kode, Ras seja mandar, Ras meetha, Ras maas, Ete Ras sarir ke kate naam nivas. They say your tongue is absorbed in so many things, whether it's lust, Ras kaman, whether it's gold, greed, all these things are absorbed in. Where will the naam come and stay? They tell us what we're like. They're telling us, focus upon your level. Look at your own level. Don't look up there to see how the saints live. Look at your level. If you're absorbed in gold, if you're absorbed in silver, if you're absorbed in perfume, if you're absorbed in mitha food, if you're absorbed in mass, then Maharaj is saying, where will the name come and stay? Naam ne kithe behna? There's no jagah for it. You have to create some space. So when people is talking about gaze or looks, you can straight away see it's only about two things. It's either Kam or it's Ahankar. It's not anything else. Don't get confused. They got pressures or whatever. It's just two things. It's either Naam or it's something else. ठीक है ना? If it's something else, Maharaj just categorize those things for us into Panch. It's Kam or it's Ahankar. Their looks, they're worried about their Ahankar or they're worried about the Kam. So, Again, when it comes to career, some people say, I can't jump so much now. What about my career? My work is so busy. It's not just always about looks and stuff. They talk about career. What about how am I going to progress in my career if I've got a pug on my head? Some people even say this to me. They say, how am I going to survive in my career without the start? Now, nowadays, the youth realize it's not true. Even Singh Sahib here, he was worried about it, but then he went to work with a pug on, no one said a single word. They're so scared of being sued at tribunals, they don't even want to say a word. You have to tell them, I've got a turban on my head. They won't even say it to you. So, the problem in today's world is not what the problems our parents faced. They worried about getting a job because they couldn't get a job when they had the start. Some people stuck with it, but and I know a lot of people broke it. But once they broke it, how come now they don't keep it again? There's Singhs with parents who are used to be Singhs and now Munni. And they're in their 60s, 70s. People in their 80s are still dyeing their beards. They got walking sticks, they're still dyeing their beards to be black. Who are they fooling, innit? They got walking sticks, koi sochta jawan ho gaya. Soch lo. They're still cutting their beard and trimming and dyeing it. You know what? It's just force of habit. It's not that they're bad. It's not they've got hankar. The hankar is so developed into their body, it's force of habit now. Whatever you do, it becomes a habit. We talked about this last week as well. The habit is something which is so powerful. We're going to talk about this in a little bit more detail. But Maharaj tells us that these things, what are the excuses people use? What about careers? That's about pride, their greed. But also, people use excuses about family and friends. They say, if I start keeping my care, start to do Naam Bani and Sikhi, then my friends and family will start to leave me. My wife might leave me. She gives me threats. So these things happen. What is that? What can we categorize that under? More. It's just more. It's not anything else, it's just more. Maharaj saying, Vin to the horje mangana, sir dukha ke dukh. If we ask for anything but you, we're asking for pain upon pain. Sir is the head in it. Sir dukha ke dukh means the head of most pain upon most pain. But we don't think that way when we ask for our friends and family to love us. The Shabad from Bani I was reading this week, Maharaj says about this, because it's mittha, it's about tongue, but it's about family as well. Maharaj says, mittha karke khaya, kauda upajya sad. They say you thought it was mittha, tu kha gaya. Mittha karke khaya. But then, kauda upajya sad. Uda swad nikliya kauda. Kauda means sour. So how come it was mittha when we ate it, when we thought about it? How come later on it becomes kauda? Maharaj describes that they go, Pai meet surd kiye, bikhya rachya baad. They go, you attach yourself to your friends and your family. Pai meet, your brothers and sisters, your friends. What happens? In the end, what happens? Jande bilimna hovei, vinna ve bismad. Now look at this. Bismad means amazing. When I said binna me bismad, without name, you're wonderstruck. Why are you wonderstruck? Because jande bilamna hovei. The minute you leave, they're all watching you and you disappear straight away. They're like, wow, I thought it'd take me time to die. Because when you watch the Indian movies, they take a long time dying, innit? Holi mardane. You get a chance to say bye to everybody. You think, man, holi jamanga. But when you die, it goes like that. It's unexpected. Most deaths are unexpected. You could be in the middle of a sentence, you don't get the time to finish it, as you thought in the movies, you die in the mid-sentence. You don't have that chance. And then your soul gets out of the body and it was still speaking. The soul wakes up and is still speaking that sentence, but no one can hear you now. The tongue there is dead. The tongue in the mind is still going, the soul tongue is still going, but no one can hear you now. Then it's like, wow, Enji mar gaya main. I just died like that. I thought I'd have some more time. I'd get a warning. No. Jande bilimna hovei vinanave bismat. You're stunned and amazed because now you realize I didn't go for the naam. These people that I attach myself to, they're no good to me. I thought they'll help me, but they can't speak for me here. And now, when I get judged, none of these people speak for me. The mittha that we think is mittha ends up becoming koda. Because the thing that we needed to have, we didn't take that. The thing we shouldn't have had, we took that. And now, the thing that we didn't have, now we get to feel the real flavor of it. The thing that we have doesn't just leave us there and then. It comes with us. Because we got our lekha, we got our book with us. And when we go up to that book, and we look inside that book and we see all the gun that we ate, the useless stuff that we ate, then we start to feel that it's koda. Mittha karke khaya, koda niklya swad. What says koda upajya swad. Later on we realize it was koda. The problem is we don't quite understand while we're alive what's mittha, what's good for us, and what is bad for us. So for that we do need a guru. We need a guru that can tell us, Ki Maharaj, give us the Vivek Buddhi. Maharaj says in Bani Samhita, give me that Vivek Buddhi. Vivek Buddhi means a sense of discrimination between what is good and what is bad. We can't see the next life, Guruji can. We can't see our own karam, Guruji can. So in that environment, Guru Sahib gives us the thing to do and the thing not to do. The people that say don't worry about anything, do whatever you want, they're fooling you. They're fooling all of us because we're not at that level. The Mahapurukhs, they know that they're already mukt. They get separate from us. We shouldn't judge ourselves as per Mahapurukh. All we're going to do then is do that Sun Galla Akas ki, Kita Airis, Nanak, Nadri Paya, Kudi, Kuda, Tees. I've met people that talk about how it should be, but I look at them and I say, why are you talking about how it should be? Let's talk about how we are. We waste time talking about that. Because how it should be isn't mean that way. So the ras of the body, a sthul sarir and the suksham sarir, the flavors, the thirst, the hunger it has, this is what Maharaj is here to teach us. And look at Bhagat Ravidas. He explains how he is. Bhagat Ravidas, he's in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, but he's saying words. Now obviously he is mukt, but he's speaking for us. He's speaking for us. Look what you are like. They say, Nath kachu na jano, man maya ke haath bikano. They go, oh Vaheguru, oh my Nath, my Lord, I don't know anything. My mind is sold to Maya. Maya's got my mind like no one's business. It owns me. Bikano means it owns me. I'm sold to Maya. Raho. They go, Tum kahiyat ho, Jagat Guru Swami, Hum kahiyat kaljug ke kami. They say, you are the Guru, the Lord of the world. I am Kaljug ke kami. I'm a person who's absorbed in Kaljug, full of lust. They say. Later on they go, In panchan mero man na bigario. Vaheguru. In panchan mero man jo bigario, pal pal harji te antar paryo. They say these five, these panchan, kaam, krodh, lobh, mohankar. They say these five, mere manu bigad dita. They've ruined my mind. They've taken me away from you. Between me and you, Vaheguru, pal pal harji te antar. Antar means a difference. Between me and you, Vaheguru, they create a difference in every second. Every second they take me away from you. They're not our friends. Every minute, imagine if your friend every minute was taking you away from your beloved. Would that be a friend? Or would that be an enemy? We want to go this way, they keep pulling us back. It's Sade Mittarni. Maharaj says then in the same bani they go, In dutan khal bad kar mario, bado nilaj aju nahi hario. They say these five demons of mine, they have fooled, khal, made me an idiot, bad, bound me up, and they've beaten me up. Imagine what kind of friend is this? It fools you, ties you up and beats you. Maharaj says, bado nilaj. Yet I am such a really bad person, aju nahi hario. Still, I haven't left them. Still I think they're my friends. They've ruined my life, but still I want them more. I'm still not full of them. Meri piaas nahi gayi. Maharaj says na, ki e Rasna, tu AnRas Raach Rehee, Tere Piaas Na Jaae. Your piaas does not go. He's saying, look what he's like. Look at what we're like. We know these things are bad for us, but still we think one more time. Even people that are alcoholics, they want to give up alcohol. They'll say, I'll stop giving up alcohol tomorrow. Today I'll get drunk. They say it's horrible. You've seen people that are smoking, they look at a cigarette and they go, I hate you. They'll say, just one more then. We're absorbed in these things even though they're poison for us. We know. Why don't we have the willpower to leave them behind? Because willpower and habit are the problems. Habit is one thing, willpower is something else. Willpower is not as weak, is not as strong as habit. Habit is far more strong. So we're trucking this. Maharaj says, Piaas na jaae. In this Shabad of Anand Sahib, Maharaj goes, Piaas na jaae hord kitte, jichar har ras palle na paaye. They say your thirst will not go away any other way. Not any other way until jichar, until har ras palle na paaye. Until in your palla, in your choli, you do not get the experience of Waheguru. Har Ras. So I say, let's look at this carefully. We get hungry and thirsty sometimes for what we're used to. If you put a daddu, there was a thing yesterday gave me a good example about daddu. He said you put a frog grows up in a dirty pond. If you take the frog out of the dirty pond, put him into nice clean water, he will still try to jump back into the dirty pond. Because he's used to it. What the thirst that we have inside us, the thirst is often from habit. It's from our habit. So we decide to go back to the thing that we're used to. So if we used to have loads of drugs and alcohol, and we're used to that, if you take the person out of drugs and alcohol, put them in a safe room, away from that, their body will go through so much of the withdrawal symptoms. Because the body wants that thing it was used to. Is habituated to it. So habitual alcoholics, habitual drug users, they find it very hard to take that thing away from them. Even when they become sober, even when you break that thing, the withdrawal symptoms, even you break it, even then they fall back into it. They're just used to getting high. They're just used to getting drunk. You have to give them something else. Man says, Chichar har ras pale na paye. Until you find this har ras, this experience of Waheguru that is so mind-blowing, it's so amazing, we cannot leave it. That's the habit problem. Let's look at another reason for habit. I thought about this week because doing a bit of exercise this week, trying to lose a bit of weight. So, Maharaj, I was thinking about with exercise. If you think about exercise, when we go to the gym, even if we don't change our habits of eating or drinking anything, if we just start going to the gym every day, and it becomes a habit for us, Holly, everything will start to change. We'll get fitter, stronger, and then you know what? We'll start eating differently. Even though we didn't change our food at the beginning, once we start doing something, and it becomes a habit, and we start to see the results of it, we will start automatically to leave things behind. If you start doing Paath every day, but you don't change anything else, if we don't even change anything that we do, drink alcohol, but we just start to do Paath every day, or we come here Katha every week, or we start to keep Changi Sangat, or we start to do a bit of Simran every day, with that thing that you start to do, holy, your whole body will change. Because you start to enjoy that so much. You will say, I don't need to eat this extra pizza slice, because now I've got to work it off. Like with fitness, you will say, I don't want to do this. Let me go and have something healthy. Eat more vegetables. Because your sangat will change, the people you hang out with will change. Same way here, if an alcoholic starts to come here every week, next time he goes out to get drunk with his mates, most likely he will just not get drunk, just have a few. Yeah? Holy, he will start to forget the taste of getting drunk and start to enjoy the taste of Katha and Naam and Bani. If they start coming at 4 a.m. every morning here to Simran, they will start to enjoy Naam so much, they will start to leave other things behind. So this works both ways. One, the bad habits that we have to break them. On the other side, we have to create new habits. And when we create those new habits, then slowly they will change our life for us towards the better. It works both ways. You can't just say, well, one day I will start to lose the taste for alcohol and I will start to jap Naam. It won't happen. You see people in their 80s who still haven't bothered to change their life. Why not? Because they're habituated to it. So what we must do is create new habits. Jichar haras palle na paye. Je palle vich pa gaya na, the experience of Naam, it doesn't come automatically. It doesn't come automatically. Even to make dahi from dud does not happen automatically. You still have to work at it. To keep on working at it. So what we need to do ourselves is to work upon the path of Naam, and then hopefully Maharaj's Kirpa will experience that Naam. And as we experience it, our whole life will start to change. So it's the same with Naam, same with Bani, just like, and I want to give an example from Bhai Gurdashi. He says, you take paper, talked about earlier about these people, you take paper, you take 2 pieces of paper, put them into water, they'll both dissolve in water over time. But if you take one of those papers and you dip it in some makhan, take some kyo and chopad kar do nu. Chopad na roti, you put it on, dip it in some makhan, so it's totally soaked in ghee, butter. Now put it in the water, it won't dissolve. Because now it's got something protecting it, it's got a coating. The same way for a Sikh. A Sikh is trying in this Gurdwara, in their Bani in the morning, in their Nitnem, to put that makhan of Bani all over themselves. Over their mind, over their tongue, over all the ras, the Suksham Sharir and the Asthul Sharir. So that during the week, during the day, when they go out into this wider world, which is like Bani, which is like fire, then they will not burn in that. Just like you take a cotton and you put it to fire, it will burn straight away. But if you take that cotton, dip it in some kyo, in some oil, and you light it again, it will burn very slowly. The whole day it will give you light. It won't even burn itself. Guru Sahib is like that for us. Jichar haras palle na pai. It keeps us from the other ras. Maharaj carries on that Bani, they go, haras pai palle piye haras bahuna trisna lage aaye. Now this trisna that we had before, this hunger and this thirst that we had for the wrong things, for kam, krodh, lobh, moh, ahankar, for food that we don't need to eat, for drinks that we didn't need to drink. They're not essential for us. They're bad for us. They're poison actually. Then they will start to go. Because the haras has come in. If you create a vacuum, something will rush in to fill its place. What we have to do is create a vacuum, take the gund out. But what rushes in has to be Naam Bani. We have to be here when we create the vacuum, not in a club. Because what happens with people that leave one form of drug is they pick up another form of drug. There's people out there that they say, I gave up heroin by smoking cannabis. They're looking for the high anyway, but they're just fallen from one thing into something else. So what we need to do is create a vacuum, but create that vacuum when we're learning about Bani and Sikhi. So then the Guru can step in, create some space. Ete ras sarir ke keh kat naam nivas. But when we ask our Guru, say, Maharaj, dehe naam santokhiya utre man ki pukh. Then that book of our mind will go, because the mind really deep down is looking for naam. It just doesn't know. It doesn't know what it wants. Children don't know what they want. Sometimes little babies that can't speak, they just cry and cry. You have to guess. If you've ever had a little baby at night and it's crying, you just freak out or work out, what does this kid want? Does it want new nappy? Does it want drink? Does it want... What is it does it want? You don't know. Baby can't tell you. The same way our mind is crying. Our suksham sarir, our soul is crying for something. So we run around looking for it in drugs, alcohol, women, whatever it is. But we don't find it there. But we end up satisfying it a little bit. Just like a child is crying for something and you can't give it what it really wants. You're in the car and it's hungry and it wants food, but you haven't got food to give it right now. What will you do? You distract it. You give it a toy to play with. Put the phone on, say, "Eh dekh le, 5 minute vaste." Keep the child distracted. When we go for other things, all we're doing is distracting our mind. We're not giving it what it really wants. What it really wants is naam. Deh naam santokhiya utre man ki pukh. But the problem is, we go from one satisfaction, temporary, to another satisfaction, temporary, to another satisfaction that's temporary, but we never get the peace that we're looking for because we're looking for it in the wrong place. So Maharaj is telling us, ki haras pae palle piye haras bahurna trisna lagi aaye. Once you've experienced Vaheguru, once you've experienced the joy of saying Vaheguru, 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 the joy of reading Bani in the morning, of singing Shabads, once you've experienced that joy, you will not get touched by the fire. Just like that oil dipped into the cotton does not burn, the same way these hungers will not touch us because we found something greater, something much more powerful than those things. We are Kaljug ke Kami, I am a Kaljug ke Kami, but if my Guru does kirpa upon me and he lets me experience him, then I will not need these things because I found something better. So let's go into what is haras. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, both Vistar vich, in much expansion, they explain haras to us. Now the thing with haras is, Maharaj says, those who taste it, they understand it. Jin chakya, this aya sad. Only the people that taste it, they can tell you about it. So, but Maharaj is explaining it to us. So we can only hear those things, and then in the other translation of that, Sun Galla Akas Ki Kita Airis, we can translate that to mean that when we hear the talk of Naam, when we hear about Dasam Dwar, about this experience of Naad and all these things, then like a little ant, we think, maybe I can copy my Guru. Maybe I should copy. Maybe I should follow this way. Maybe I should start following behind the saints. This is what Sangat does. Sangat gives us these amazing talks and we want to start to follow that as well. So Maharaj says, in Asa Mahalla Panjava, Maharaj says, Har ras pivat sadhi rata, AnRas khin meh leh jata, har raste mate man sada anand, AnRas meh vyape chind. They say one who drinks this naam is forever absorbed inside it. All the other flavors, they wear off very quickly. What did we say? Temporary in fulfillment, yeah? We go from kaam to krodh to lobh to moh to ahankar and back again. Because none of those will give us satisfaction for too long. Even a kami person will get tired of kaam. Even a hungry person will get tired of hunger. A drunk person will get drunk of alcohol for a while, but they get bored of alcohol, move on to something else. So with the people of the world, they're just jumping from one thing to another thing. Satsangaji, even adrenaline junkies, they give up one adrenaline rush. They're looking for something better. They're called junkies because they're addicted to it. They have to go and find, but they're always looking for something better. Yeah? This is the problem with the internet nowadays. If you look at the minds of the people that are watching the wrong kind of videos on YouTube and stuff, they start off somewhere small, then they go that way, down slippery slope. Because the problem with the mind is it's never content with just one thing. It just wants more and more and more. But with naam, why is it content with naam? Because naam is bayant. There's no end to naam. If you have a little experience of God, you stay in that experience, it'll keep on growing. It'll never stop. There'll never be a point where you get bored of naam. It just keeps on going. Atul. This pandar of Vaheguru's Atul pandar. In this Shabad, Maharaj says, Jachak mange daan dehe pyarya, Devan ha datar main nit chitarya. They say, Nikut na jai mool Atul pandarya, Nanak Shabad apar, Tin sab kich sarya. Nikut na jai. Doesn't end. Naam does not end. Atul pandarya. It's a pandar, a treasure that cannot be weighed. How can you weigh something which has got beyond no weight? To weigh something, you got to have something to balance it. You know the old things they used to have counterbalance, yeah? You got to have something on this side which can counterbalance naam. There's nothing that can counterbalance naam. It's atul, cannot be weighed. It's too powerful. So Maharaj is telling us in this Shabad, they say, Har ras pive al mast matwara. Must, yeah? Masti is like in Punjabi, you're drunk. Matwara means to be drunk as well. Maharaj says, Har ras pive al mast matwara. You become totally drunk of naam. When you look at somebody who's drunk, they're so happy, they seem so happy. But you know that give it 4 or 5 hours and it will wear off. And they'll probably start crying at some point as well. The alcohol taste is not staying. But this Maharaj says, Har ras pive al mast matwara AnRas sab hoche re raho. And in that Shabad Maharaj goes, Nanak chak pae bismad, Nanak Vaheguru, Nanak chak pae bismad, Nanak gurte aya sad. Nanak is in bismad, he's in Anand, chak matlab chakna, to drink it. When we experience naam, it's like bliss upon bliss upon bliss. And Maharaj says, who do we get it from? From our Guru. Guru is the person that can make us experience naam. So Maharaj says, Ehe har ras karmi paiye satgur mile jis aaye. Finish off the last 2 panks of the Shabad. Maharaj says, Ehe AnRas, eho har ras karmi paiye satgur mile jis aaye. The people that experiences a har ras is by their karam. Now karam has 2 meanings of Sangatji. Ek karam hondaya by our kirpa of Vaheguru. Another karam is our actions. Our previous life actions and our this life actions. Now, you know like a phone, we talked about the mobile phone, yeah? If you imagine the people that haven't taken Amrit so far, they're new to Sikhi, yeah? Say for example, new to Sikhi people, haven't already experienced Naam yet. They're like those pay-as-you-go phones. They've all got credit, those pay-as-you-go phones, isn't it? But we don't know how much credit is on that chip. We haven't cashed it in yet. We haven't made a call and didn't tell us we've got £200 worth of credit versus you've got 50 pence left. We don't know how much credit we have. So the people that start to jap naam, the credit that they have previously might be so big that they say one Vaheguru and that's it. Bas, they Anand. I met people, within 2 days they changed their whole life. Wondering, how did this happen? Yeah? People taking 10 years. When I look nowadays to some of the people that I've met, you know, within a year, they're so ponche hue. Within a year, they got so much Bani Kant, so many Shabads they got memorized. Their avastha is so high, and other people be struggling for 10 odd years and they still haven't got to that level. The ones that we bring with us. But also, there's people that through their mehnat, to their hard work and earn the same thing. It's not separate to anybody. Nobody's got the same path, but it's not separate from us. Waheguru is inside us. Some people, they work so hard from the time they take Amrit, or from even before the time they take Amrit, they jump so much Naam, when they take it, wow. There's this week, I heard a Sakhi about Pai Sahib Randir Singh. I said people think that he was very strict, but he wasn't that strict. He loved Naam. He was singing a Sangat like this one day, doing Kirtan, and somebody was singing, they were doing Simran, and one guy in the Sangat, when they were doing Simran, was singing Pai Nand Lal Ji's Bani in Pyar. Now Pai Nand Lal Ji's Bani is in Persian, very hard to understand it. But this guy was singing it. And they stopped the Kirtan, they go, who is that Pyara, Gurmukh Pyara, that is singing this Bani? And he said, come and sit next to me and you sing it here, next to me. And this guy stood up, who was a Munna. And he goes, main inna jogi nahi. He goes, maaf karna, look at me, meri shakal nahi bandi, main tonne naal baitha. They said, nahi, tusi aake baitho. And they had this guy who was a Munna come and sit next to him, and they did Kirtan, Simran, and this guy was doing Parmans of Pai Nand Lal from memory in Persian, because he had so much love. They weren't like this, because AnRas. Maharaj, in the beginning, this Shabad, which just happened to be, this story came to my head, but the Shabad that we read about in the beginning, as a Parman for Guru Ramdas Ji Maharaj, Maharaj says, mere har pritam ki koi baat sunave, so pai, so mera beer. They say, if anybody can tell me something about my beloved, he is my pai, he is my friend. So pai, so mera beer. Mil sakhi gun kaho mere prabh ke, le satgur ki mat tir. So in a way, Satsangaji, we have to push Naam onto people. We don't necessarily have to push too much of the, you must leave this, you must leave that. We've got to say that as well, because that is the way. But also we've got to push Naam onto people. As we push Naam onto them, they'll automatically leave the other stuff, innit? They were addicted to drugs, they'll leave it. They'll start to fall in love with Guru, start falling in love with Guru Sahib's Roop, and they'll start to want to change their life in that way for the better. But if we push them away at the beginning, if we say, well, you're a Munna, you can't do this, you're a Munna, you can't do that, you're wrong for doing this, we haven't actually allowed them to come in. Yeah. So nowadays, many of our Gurdwara have got rules that you can't have this stuff, and it's not a rule that necessarily needs to be applied. Because if you look at the olden days, in Harmandir Sahib there was Kirtanis that were Muslims. So what's happened to us, isn't it? We've enforced rules upon our Panth that's pushed people away. So we're going to have to counterbalance that now. We're going to start to welcome them back in, say, come Ajo, come back in. The whole split with the Ravidasi community and Sikh community only happened because of caste. Because we got Ahankar Ras. It's Ras, innit? We got Ahankar Ras. I am better than these people. You know? Let's think about tongue. Tongue likes to speak as well. We're not just eating, drinking. It likes to speak as well. The tongue likes to say stuff like, Main jatte ha, tu mada hai, tu chamar hai. The Ravidasis left our Panth because we kept pushing them away because of caste. So now they've got a Gurdwara it used to be a Gurdwara when I came to Southall, but now it's no longer a Gurdwara. It's called Ravidasi Mandir. They changed the Nishan Sahib into something else. They changed their Granth into not Guru Granth Sahib. They moved away from us. Last whatever year or 20 years I've been in this country, they moved away from us because of our own Ras for Ahankar. The Sikh Panth pushed them away. They weren't going away from us. We pushed them away. So when we start to go towards our Guru, they will give us this vastu which is Naam. They have it in their palle. Guru Sahib holds this power in his hands. Bani says this, Jiski vath soi prabh jane, jisno de so paye, vast anub at agam agochar, gurpura alakh lakhaye, jin e chakhi soi jane, gunge ki mithiyai, ratan lukaya luke nahi, jeko rakhe lukai. Maharaj says in this Shabad that Jiski Vast, who has that Vasna, he can give it to you. The Guru is that person who has that Vast. But they describe it. What is this thing that they're looking for? Naam Ras, Maharaj says, Jin eh chakhi soi jane. Whoever tastes it, they understand what it really is. Gunge ki mithiyai. It is the mithiyai of the Gunga person. The person that can't speak is that mithiyai. What they're going to say to you? They're going to say, that's it. The person who experienced Naam, experienced Waheguru, can only say, Vah, Waheguru, Vaheguru. They say, wow, wow, wow. They've got nothing else to say. How will they describe it to you? What will they say what it feels like? Is there any language that we have? Is there any language we have to explain Naam? Maharajas use words like bliss, joy, but they don't really make sense to someone unless they've experienced that bliss and joy. So Maharaj says, Jin eh chakhi soi jane. We don't know what to say about it, but if we experience it, we will be must. Jin piya se must pay. Pay hai tute bandhan phare. Those who drink it, they must, they absorbed in Naam, and all their bandhan. What is that bandhan? The other flavors. We think the bandhan is what we have in the world if we're slaves or we're free. But Sasangi, this Panth, this Sikh Panth, has got a bandhan. Kaam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar. We, each of us have this bandhan. So our Guru can break those bandhans by giving us this Naam Ras. And we get free of that, we'll have so much bliss. I want to finish off with a bit of a warning, because on the good side, Maharaj said how amazing it is. But if we don't experience Naam in this life, Satsangaji, what does Guru Ramdas Ji say about us? If we ask him, Maharaj, dasso. In Rehee Sahib they say these lines. Maharaj says, Jin har rasad na paya. Vaheguru. Jin har ras naam na paya. Te paghin jam paas. They said those that don't experience this Naam, har. Why did they say it 3 times? Because man bach karam. 3 times. Our mind, our words, and our actions, they all need to be in Naam. Jin har ras naam na paya, te paghin jam paas. They go to death. Those that don't experience Naam will end up coming back into reincarnation, because when you die, you have to come back. But those people that take this Amrit, Maharaj says, Amrit pive, Amrit sohoy. Those people, Eho har ras pave janakoe, Amrit pive, Amrit sohoy. Those that experience this Naam, they do not die. The body dies, but the Suksam Sarir does not die. They go on to the next life with so much Naam and Bani. They just experience that bliss forever. So, Maharaj finished off with it, Kahe Nanak, Hor AnRas sab visre, Jahar vase mane aaye. They say, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, as Guru Amar Das Ji, they say, Hor AnRas sab visre. You forget all the other flavors of the world, Jahar vase mane aaye. That stick is important, Satsang. You don't forget that stick. On the one side, you want to leave the corruption. I want to leave the corruption, but it won't go until we find Naam. But we can't take it easy to not find Naam. Can't just doss about, say, Koi na, one day we'll find it by ourselves. No. It's important to find the Naam. We must try and jap Naam. We must try and experience this Bani. Because Guru Sahib goes further and they say, Rasna japena Naam, til kar katiye. They say, if your tongue does not experience Naam, cut it. Get rid of it. Koi fayda nahi hota. Til kar katiye. Imagine. If something has value, it's because it has Naam. If it has no Naam, Maharaj says, Naam bina sab duniya char. I was speaking to somebody yesterday, I said, you know what, if there's not one person on this planet that is experiencing Naam, this whole world may as well be dust. Koi fayda nahi. That's what Bani is saying. Nagaj tere bande didar apar, Naam bina sab duniya char. It's all dust without Naam. It's very important for us to jap Naam and experience this, because then all the troubles we're worried about, all the fact that we can't experience Vaheguru, all the fact that we can't leave Kaam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, our case, our alcohol, drugs problems, all these will go. They'll melt away just with something as simple as experiencing Vaheguru by calling Vaheguru. Finish off with that. I'm sure I made loads of mistakes. Luckily we're going to have beautiful Kirtan with Simran right after. I can't do it myself. So Pai Sahib is here. Pai Sahib Karanveer Singh is actually a student from Guru Nanak School in Southall. Okay, he studied here, grew up here. He's Southall boy, born and bred. And he does Kirtan, beautiful Kirtan. Okay, he studied, even sat with Sant Niranjan Singh quite a bit. And he has beautiful Kirtan. His CDs are going to be outside as well. So do get one. He's going to do Kirtan now for the next hour. Our Q&A will start at about 7:35. So let's stay and listen to a bit of beautiful Kirtan by Pai Karanveer Singh. So, Puna Choke Dikhe Bakshin Ji. गज गज फतेह आखनी जी। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।